So, ich habe schon kritische Blicke bekommen, weil wir sind schon 5 Minuten über der Zeit und wenn man sich schon den Österreicher einlädt, dann muss man doch auch irgendwie pünktlich sein, oder? Guten Morgen, also ich weiß, es ist schon Nachmittag, aber für die Bar- und Spirituosengemeinschaft darf man doch wohl um 1 noch schönen guten Morgen sagen. Schön, dass ihr alle da seid. Herzlich willkommen zu Tag 2 des Bar Symposium in Köln. Herzlich willkommen zur Business Stage. Wir haben ein proppenvolles Programm mit großartigen Vorträgen heute. Und starten dürfen wir mit einem Highlight. Wir haben einen jungen Mann bei uns, der uns über Drinks und Kunst erzählen wird, der uns mit auf eine Reise nehmen wird in der nächsten Stunde. Und ein bisschen über seinen Werdegang erzählen wird über seine Inspiration, seine Herangehensweise und wie für ihn die Welt der Drinks, die Welt der Kunst, der Architektur zusammenfinden und wie das alles Sinn macht, das erzählt er euch jetzt gleich. Präsentiert wird der erste Vortrag von SIP, der Hospitality-Plattform von Pernod, Ricard. Share, Inspire, Pioneer. Genau das wollen wir heute machen hier an der Businessbühne und den Auftakt macht kein geringerer als Rémy Savage. Rémy, it's a privilege and a pleasure to have you here with us. I just said, a wonderful opening to day 2, an absolute highlight to learn from your journey, from your experience, and drink more art. That's all I can say, and I would like to hand over the microphone to you. Welcome you to the stage, and again, many, many thanks for joining us today. Welcome to Rémy Savage.
Hi. Good morning. Hi, I'm Rémy. Hi. This is fun. Cool. I think that do you think it'd be okay to perhaps put a presentation? Amazing. Merci beaucoup. Okay. Hi. Hi. See. My name is Rémy. I am a bar person. I work in London. I work in Paris. I think that today we're going to. It's funny actually because it's nice to be invited to the business stage because I feel like for the next hour I'm going to talk about how to lose all the money that you can have. So it's fun that they got the least business person to talk about the work we do. But I think that today it's nice also. Thank you very much. I feel like it's a very nice. It's very nice that you guys came. So thank you. It's very nice and pleasant. It's cool because I feel like the Cologne Symposium is quite small. So please feel free to ask any question. I apologize in advance for my French accent. The service here, wow. She's good, huh? I'm going to talk a little bit about the work that we do. So we do some work in Paris, we do some work in London, we do some work in Lyon, we do some work in Bordeaux, I think, from next month. But I think that more than anything, I'm going to kind of like embarrassingly talk a bit about myself. So just for a small part, I will tell you what I've done. And I think it's an interesting thing for me to be talking about business because it's only 3 years since I've started my own business, and before I spent my life working for other people. And I guess that what I want to discuss is how how we got to where we got. Cool? Yeah? Make sense? Let's go. Okay. The pressure. All right. Cool. Okay. Have you guys seen this movie? Yeah. Yes, it's good, right? It's good. I think that this is sometimes a social media manager would be like, okay, what is the one advice you'll have for young bartenders? And I feel like, for me, the best advice I ever got or given myself was to actually kind of do what I like to do. So I like this film particularly because I think that people are good at the stuff they want to do. And it's a fundamental difference that at times you're meant to do other things and it doesn't really work. And I particularly... more. I love obviously Billy Elliot, the guy wants to dance. His father wants him to box. He's not a very talented boxer just because he doesn't want to do it. And I think that for me, my background is in philosophy. So I'm 34. I started to work in bars when I was a rather young man, just to pay for my philosophy studies. So I studied philosophy for 5 years. I did first in France, and then I went to Oxford in England to just finish this course. And I feel like whenever I learn about bartending, it was very much, okay, things have to be done a certain way. And I find myself to really enjoy serving people, but to actually kind of dislike the way that bars will operate. So for us, we had the chance to kind of like, I guess, mix both things, both serving people and I guess doing a little bit of this philosophy nonsense. So you have to excuse me, there's a lot of complicated words, but I want to talk to you about how we wanted to kind of express ourselves in the workplace. So I worked in a bar from 2012 to 2017 called Little Red Door in Paris. So I don't know if anyone has ever been. Like Coco was barred from for ordering Gibsons. The cool thing about Little Red Door, there was an absolute lack of bosses. So we could do whatever we wanted to do. And I think that for a certain amount of time, we're just able to like do all of the nonsense that we were happy doing in the place. And I think that this was a big part of the success originally of Little Red Door. It was just that people were doing whatever they wanted to do. So I'm going to talk to you about different menus very briefly. And I think I would like to start with the idea of this first menu we did in 2015 called the evocative menu. And because I come from philosophy, we always started these years with like big fat philosophy questions, right? So this particular menu, the idea was, I guess, do we need words to understand flavor? And I feel like if you imagine all the times that you've been in a bar or a restaurant, there's often a menu, right? The menu often uses words. Is this the best we can do? So for this particular project, what we've done is we actually try to not use words. This is my daughter Zeta. She was conceived for marketing reasons because she's adorable. The cool idea was, as a little bit of a shy person, I feel like cocktail bars can be very scary. I think if you imagine going for the first time, at the Savoy, at the American bar, the Savoy, everybody's scared, right? You feel like you don't belong. Even if you take your local cocktail bar, you're a little bit shy, you walk past, can I go in, can I not go in? And there was always that relationship with cocktail, especially 10 years ago, where I felt like it was a bit scary, and I feel like to a certain extent, we had the chance to make it a bit, less scary. If you think about your mom going to my bar, she look at the menu and she'd be like, okay, that's mezcal, okay, that's tepestate mezcal. My mom doesn't know what Aperol is. She doesn't know what cognac is, right? So you have to be somewhat educated in order to, enjoy a drink or order a drink. And first, it was a fun thing to be, okay, bars are kind of scary, menus are too complicated, nobody understands anything, and like words only have this particular power to take you this far. I don't know, if you think of a pineapple, there's like, what does it mean? You're going to take all of the pineapples you ever had, maybe divide it by the amount of time you had them, and be like, okay, it's sweet, it's sour, it's pineapple. But obviously a young pineapple or an old pineapple or from Costa Rica or from La Réunion, they're very different things, right? But there's only one word. So for us was, all right, let's do a little bit of a menu where you don't have to be intelligent, you just have to, because also, I don't know if you saw me yesterday at Subway, but I wasn't particularly intelligent. I don't feel like we need to have this relationship with intelligence when you're in a bar. Usually you want to have fun, usually you want to, flirt, to enjoy, your family, your friends, whatever it may be. And so for us it was very interesting because we just like kind of looked at this and I'm so sorry, I didn't pay for the picture on the right hand side, as you can tell. Okay, we have two images here. Which one is sweet, which one is sour? Okay, pink is sweet, black is sour. Everybody agrees? Okay, so why is the pink roundy shape sweet? Why is the other one bitter? Sorry? Yeah, because you associate femininity with sweetness. You have a lucky wife. I think that there's a reality that it doesn't really matter why we feel this way, but I feel like if I give you a cocktail menu that doesn't have any words, but I just show you these two images, perhaps you're likely to be, okay, if I want something a bit sweet and a bit more comforting, I'm likely to have the one on the left-hand side, whereas by opposition, if I want something a bit stronger, more bitter, I'm going to be kind of like going for the one on the left. Is that left? Is that right? Philosophical construct, I wouldn't know. So the cool thing that we've done with this particular menu is to actually, excusez-moi, we've asked from 11 different artists to blind taste drinks and kind of like do something. So the fun thing was not to get, I made a cocktail with celery, please can you paint celery? The fun thing was to actually get people that have no understanding of what drinks are to taste something and just do whatever they wanted. So, I don't know. This guy is called Jeremy. He's like a glass artist. He tasted a drink and he made this. Now, if you come to Libretto all the time, you'll be given this menu. Maybe this is something that you perhaps would relate to, right? And if this is what you want, amazing, you can have it. If you dislike it, I'm going to drink it. It's not an issue. And the fun thing was, it was around the time where my daughter was born, and we were like, fuck, like bars are a bit scary. How can we make it a bit more like silly? And so, very much like a kid's book, we had this option where if you wanted to play a little like philosophical game, you could. But if you didn't want to, you can just do like you would in a pull-up book, right? So you just be there, okay, amazing, I want to just choose based on art, great. If you don't, that's also great, and you can just kind of like pick your drink on this. Make sense? Is it cool? Okay, good. 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 Obviously, this was in Paris, so there's a lot of nudity, I apologize. But yeah, fun stuff. I think that what changed for us, and it's interesting to put a bit of a business element to this, the Libretto was not, Libretto was open close to a very good bar called La Candelaria. And when we opened Libretto, it was not particularly famous, right? There was nothing to do with it. With this menu, we kind of changed the fact that, like, I guess the bar was always full. The big difference that he made for us is that like, the bar was full-er, but people were still waiting outside. The only difference is that people will go from ordering one drink to ordering two drinks in the same amount of time. I don't know, if you guys work in bars, you know that most of your business come from Tinder, Grindr, whatever it is. You don't know each other. You need that kind of like break the ice moment. If you have a menu that gives you the opportunity to do so, it kind of changes. So we're like, okay, great. The bar is full. It's working. Let's kind of do something else. So then we moved on to a different little philosophical concept. And with this particular menu. Do you guys want me to pass these around? Do you want to see the menus? Is it? No, you are only allowed to steal this menu, okay? This one you can steal. Don't steal the other ones. Yes? Amazing. Madame, avec plaisir. So, we're super proud, we're feeling super good, the bar is full, everybody's liking whatever nonsense we're doing. So we started to have a different idea, which was, again, philosophical nonsense. Are we the product of, I don't know, who we are? To an extent, or do we do the stuff like, okay, I used to study philosophy. At the time at Libretto, I used to work with a girl that used to be a professional dancer and a guy that used to be a cop. And it was very interesting because the both of them would be working in a very different way. And it's an interesting thing to think that like, it doesn't really matter what you do, there's something, you're not going to unlearn what you've learned. And I think that you behave in a way that is always going to reflect whatever you know. So it's a fun idea to say, okay, if I know that I behave based on what I know, was I to learn something new, would it affect the way I behave? Make sense? Kind of? Okay, so the fun idea with this was okay, you guys know this sentence, think outside the box? You have a creative guy that comes in and he's like, okay, we're a bit stuck. What is the box? I don't know, for us was the understanding of like, okay, it's maybe knowledge and experience, so for me to be able to do this, sorry, it's a very big budget presentation, I apologize. What is the box for me to be able to do this is impossible, right? I'm not going to start behaving like this, but was I to learn something new, was I to expand the box, then perhaps I can actually achieve whatever I was trying to achieve. And I think that for a certain degree, we decided to divide the year in 2 parts, so 6 months we just studied architecture because we didn't know anything about it and it's a fun notion. I think that not unlike cocktails, architecture is like sitting in between need and art, I guess, to an extent. Like you need somewhere to be warm, but you don't need to have like, I don't know, at La Sagrada Familia. You don't need to have fancy buildings, but you need to be warm. Nevertheless, we have fancy buildings. So for us, it was, okay, let's learn from architecture. So on the left-hand side, you have a very famous building in Paris. You guys know this building, obviously. Do you know why it looks this way? It's a cool idea that it's a very functionalist building. The Centre Pompidou is a museum of modern art, and Paris is very protected and very fancy. This is a ugly building, like it's impossible. But the idea was, okay, in functionalism, there is that shapes has to follow function, right? So everything has to do with the life of the building, instead of being outside, instead of being inside, excuse me, is going to be put outside. So for example, the air conditioning is going to ruin the room because it's in there, because the idea of a perfect room is an empty space, so you just put everything out. The fun thing is then, okay, if you call the plumber and say, I have a leak on the floor number 32, he wouldn't know what to do because there's 1,000 cables and stuff. So they just decided to color code whatever had to do with the life of it. Now, we made a drink out of it, which had 3 ingredients. It was tequila, hops, and citrus. And then we decided to, whatever was inside, to put again outside and to again color-code it because it kind of made sense. Yeah, menu stuff. Okay, 2017, we at Little Red Door and we all moved to London at the Artesian, which is a hotel bar in London. Have you been to the Artesian? Is anyone old like me or? Good, okay. When I was young, the Artesian was like the coolest bar in the world, right? You had this thing, the idea of like redefining, like, I don't know, 5-star luxury places. And the fun thing was, it was very visual, very big. You go there and you have like, I don't know, I remember having the first drink, maybe it was like a banana daiquiri with like caviar, but there was also an iPad involved and there was some lights. And I remember Simone was talking to me and he kind of like unlocked like a light bulb. And then the light bulb was my drink, and I was like, what the fuck is happening? It's so good. And we arrived, like little French people trying to kind of like not only keep the I guess our ideas, but also to make the bar famous again. Whenever the Artesian, in 2015, the Artesian like lost Alex and Simone, and then there was a little bit of a decline in revenue. So obviously the hotel manager is going to call us and say, okay, please can you make the bar popular again? And the issue that we faced was, I didn't really want to do the big box and stuff because I don't really know how to do it. And I think if we go back to the first conversation, like you're only good at what you want to do. So we had this a little bit of a trouble where we tried to introduce our kind of like thought process within this structure, but make sure that the people were happy. And the people are the guests, I guess some customers, if you work in a 5-star hotel, they just want what they want. But also the hotel manager, that would be, okay, it's £25 for a drink. People want their money's worth. And I think that what he meant for them to have their money's worth would be this kind of drink. So we took the idea of determinism that we discussed perhaps in terms of, you guys know what determinism means? Am I talking a lot? Okay. Okay. Determinism is the idea that, I don't know, me and Anna, how are you? Me and Anna are very different. I come from France, you come from Germany, right? The idea is that actually everybody is born equal and exactly the same, but all of the micro little elements of your life are going to define the person you are, right? It's originally, Aristotle would say that, okay, if you look at a star and it was there yesterday, it's here today, it's likely to be there tomorrow. If I come from a very, I don't know, wealthy environment where all my families are lawyers, perhaps I'm going to have an interest in law, right? But if I come from a different environment, I'm going to end up being this way. Well, this idea that we usually have for people, it was fun to apply to drinks. So usually in French, we like to say terroir a lot because it means that we can sell wine a bit more expensive. The idea of terroir now applied to everything. So this particular drink was a gimlet, which is identical actually. It was Plymouth gin, lime, right? The only difference in this drink was that we sourced 3 different limes, so the botanical entity was identical. The only thing that changed was wherever the lime come from. And if you have a lime from Germany, you guys have limes? It's in the competition over there for if you have a lime from, for example, the one on the left-hand side is from the Mediterranean region. So I guess it was either the south of Italy or like the Lebanon for a while. Middle one is going to be Southeast Asia. The green one is going to be the limes that we all know from Latin America. Now, this drink was exactly the same. The 3 times, the pH was identical, the bricks was identical. It was the same drink. Nevertheless, the terroir of lime actually expressed itself this way. So that was kind of fun because it allowed us to do this particular project, which is one of my favorite, and it's a colossal failure on my part, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. Do you guys know metaphysics? You know physics? Okay, physics is the law and regulation of nature. So if I drop this menu, it's likely to fall, right? Okay, so gravity is physics. Now, meta means above, so you'd be like, okay, why does it fall? I really like this idea because for me it was an interesting thing to say, to put these two concepts in opposition, where you have something that you don't really, it's obviously very personal, it's obviously very kind of intense and very ultimate, I guess. Metaphysics are by essence, it's a very fundamental science. You oppose this to the idea of statistics. Statistics is going to find truth in consensus. So it doesn't mean that like there's 100 of us and it's like, okay, who's the most handsome guy here, me or Maxime? If 60% of you say me, statistically, I'm the most handsome. It doesn't mean I'm objectively the more handsome. It doesn't mean I'm essentially the more handsome. But it just means that you guys have agreed, right? This particular idea was fun because we have... okay, Anna, how are you? You good? You and I are different, right? We discussed this. So if you were to say, okay, we're different, but we probably have things in common. Let's say that maybe we had like a first day at school. Maybe like the both of us had I don't know, a heart broken for the first time. Maybe we like, I don't know, ride a bicycle for the first time. All of these particular things. Now, if you were, for the sake of conversation, to associate flavor with your first day at school, and if I was to do this, and if all of us were to do this, are they likely to be the same? Yes, no? No? Well, we didn't know, so we just asked. It's actually a fun thing because we did a survey out of 500 people to just tell us, okay, you have to associate 5 flavors with a particular moment that we all have, and then just we will make a drink out of it. So we had a drink being being called the moment you turn 18. I asked all of us, what did it taste like when we turn 18? And this is what people reply. Beer, tequila, smoke, sambuca, and tomatoes, right? It doesn't matter whether I think that turning 18 tastes like tomatoes. Factually, 500 people have said that it does. Which means that if I was to create this specific experience, that would be particularly, personal. That thing of like, okay, you guys have seen, I don't know, Chef's Table, and you have the guys like, I was hiding, my grandmother was making tortellinis, which is why the guy at table 47 is having tortellini, and it's about me. Well, I feel like, obviously, this doesn't work. The cool thing is that, in fact, we can create a large-scale personal experience by using statistics in order to express this particular idea. Does that make sense? Kind of? Cool. She's so great. Okay, there was a drink called the moment you took your first steps. So, for the sake of conversation, like, what do you guys think that, like, if you order a drink that says the moment I take my first steps, like, I don't know, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, what are the things that, what flavors would you give me? Banana, okay, it's funny, banana is a top 5. Anything else? Milk. Milk is number 1 answer. Out of 5 flavors, everybody says milk. So it's fun, it just means that all of us agree that, despite the fact that we are different, in fact, I can create a large-scale personal experience for all of us just by asking, right? Maybe? Maybe, okay. I will give this to you. Please, but if you want to pass it around, don't steal it. Okay. This one is yours, okay. Okay, good. Amazing. This was a fun thing because we were like a year and a half in the Artisan, and we were kind of, whenever I started a job there, I said that I will only be there for 2 years because hotels are horrible. And I'm joking, no, they're great. But again, the cool thing was, okay, I said that by the time I would leave the Artisan, it would be a fun thing to be able to redefine what the Artisan was. And I don't mean only from like a cool bartender perspective, but perhaps from a business perspective where the action could actually restart by like kind of redefining itself in opposition to what it was. And I always said that, okay, by the time I leave, we're going to have a menu where there's no garnishes, there's only 2 ingredients, it's going to be great, and the bar is going to be full. And, my boss, Bob, will call me and say, well done, we are getting the awards, we're getting the fame, that's amazing. We decided to look into the idea of minimalism. And I think that it was the fun thing because usually if you study history of art, it's a good idea to think that like there's always something before and there's often something after, hopefully, right? So things exist because of what happened before and what is, I guess, not because of what's going to happen, but things are going to happen. And the fun thing was the minimalism is a art movement that is very well defined. I think that today we think of minimalism, if you follow like hashtag minimalism on Instagram, it's usually like a really hot guy with dreadlocks in a van. It's not really it. The idea of minimalism came after abstract expressionism. You guys know abstract expressionism a little bit? Expressionism means that as the artist, I talk about myself. This is me, right? I express myself through like, I don't know, in this particular instance, it's non-figurative emotions I'm trying to give out. Well, I felt like perhaps in bartending, we were in that stage of abstract expressionism in the sense that we would talk about ourselves. You come to my bar and I would say, okay, I am French, so here's a shot of Chartreuse, okay? And you're going to like it because I'm French, right? The fun thing was, at the time, I think it was just about to finish, but have you guys seen cocktail competitions? You guys been to cocktail competitions? Yeah? Have you been to a cocktail competition where nobody talks about their grandparents? I did that thing. Have you guys seen the Drinks Master on Netflix? Lockdown, me and my business partner from Paris, we sat down, and every time someone mentioned their grandmother, we had to have a shot. The drunkest people in Paris. It was a fun thing because we'll have this thing of like, okay, well, I'm making this because it relates to what I think and what I am and whatever. I'm fundamentally convinced that, again, the guy at table 44 doesn't care about, I don't know, Rémy, Coco, Max, Anna. It doesn't really matter. He just wants to have a drink. we kind of decided to take this particular approach to let's remove ourselves as much as we can. Let's also kind of force ourselves to make drinks which will be like as simple as they can be. This is a very cool quote because I think it's a fun one that we can all relate to. Sometimes you make stuff that is nice and you don't really work for it, and sometimes you work super hard and what you produce is like not good enough. It's not because you worked hard that it becomes good. It's not because you grow that on basil that is going to make a better drink, right? It's not because your grandmother gave you a lemon on a deathbed that is going to make a better amaretto sour. And I think that this is a very interesting thing that you just have to let go and just focus on whatever you're producing. Now, we're doing this. The artisan is still like on that thing where people will come to the bar and they like, some guests will just want to take a picture of like the elephant or the pineapple or the box and the iPad and the smoke and all the cool stuff. But we didn't really do this in the previous one. The menu I was talking about metaphysics and statistics, for me, it's one of my favorite pieces of work, but nobody cared about it. And I think that, I don't know, you can surely relate that if you're doing something that you think is amazing, it doesn't mean that people are going to react to it, right? And I would be there to talk for 45 seconds to, I don't know, Mr. Smith from room 104, and he's like, I order a pepperoni. Like, stop talking to me about philosophy. Nobody understands what you're talking about. Nobody cares. And with this one, it was fun because it was a nice business-wise kind of like understanding curve of I need to give people what they want in order to do what I want to do. And so for this, if you think about it, it was 22 drinks with only 2 ingredients, right? So half the menu would have no fancy rotavab, distillation, anything. You just find the best vermouth, the best eau de vie. You put them together. There's no garnish. There's like, you're allowed to use ice, I guess, to an extent. And the other half of the menu, you're allowed to extract stuff, right? You can distill, you can centrifuge, you can do whatever you want. But how can we still get this like very artisan-y moment where the guests will come in, take a little Instagram boomerang, and then go back to their room or whatever? And it was a cool one because we came up with this little idea where how can I actually materialize whatever it is I'm trying to express? How can I make it so obvious that they don't have to think about it? So we had this thing where this is the menu at the Artisan for the minimalistic menu, and the idea was, okay, minimalism is like less is more, right? This is the way people would understand it. So how can I have something where I say, okay, we made 22 drinks, there's only 2 ingredients, and the idea is to just showcase like how less can become more, and then you have that thing, it evolves from like, I guess, 3D to 4D or 2D to 3D, I don't really understand this. But the idea was fun because you'll do this thing, and then people will be, okay, very cool, I get it. It was like, it was less, it is now more, amazing. The drinks are written down there, and to an extent, they get the little boomerang. Would you like this? Don't break it. You should pass it around. The cool thing was that for us, it was amazing because my managing director at the time, Bob, was super happy with it because he understood it. He didn't really care about what we wanted to do, but he felt like the guests could relate to it. It was kind of a simple idea that like all of the drinks would be written down there. People get their little Instagram moment. Amazing. Does that make sense? Fun. So then we learn that if you make things obvious, people are going to like it. This was kind of like the first part of the thing I wanted to talk to you about, which was like whenever it was working for other people. Any questions? No? Amazing. Am I talking too fast? Is my accent like super annoying or? Kind of is it nice? Allez, super. Okay, en français maintenant. Okay. Whenever we had this moment where, so after the Artisan were there and we're like, okay, like obviously we want to open a bar. It's every young bartender's dream. We want to open a bar. The kind of like what was the right way of doing it? I'm not particularly good at making cocktails. I don't think I'm particularly good. I don't believe to be particularly good at anything. The only thing that I'm good at is to be, I think the thing I'm trying to be good at is to be conceptually coherent. I'm trying to just do one thing and be the most obvious person when it comes to it. Which is why I really like this painting. Do you guys know this painting? It's called the School of Athens. And it's the fun thing that all of the philosophers of ancient Greece are over there. You see that in the middle, you have Aristotle and Plato, they kind of hanging out, right? The guy on the steps is Diogenes. Diogenes hates everything and hates everyone. You have Socrates on the left-hand side, annoying everyone. The cool idea in ancient philosophy is that there's like 5 topics. Love, God, morals, politics. Everybody has only 5 topics of conversation and everybody disagrees. And it's amazing that for us was, okay, if I want to open a bar, what is the best bar I can do? And I think that it was a good moment for us to be, actually, it doesn't matter that today I like Aristotle and tomorrow I like Plato. It's like, I open a bar, I'll just do like a bar following this particular concept. And 100%, we're trying to be, I guess, conceptually coherent or conceptually adequate when it comes to one particular idea. Oh, sorry, this is just me having fun with my presentation. Somebody told me once that it looks like they're playing invisible basketball. Okay, shapes. After the minimalistic menu, we understood that people were kind of like interested in art, but the way that we communicate about art is oftentimes, annoying or a little bit like intimidating, the same way that perhaps cocktail bars can be. But it's kind of scary when you learn about art, right? You have this guy wearing like a tweed. He's got the little kind of leather patches, and he's going to tell you, okay, art is like this, and it should be like that. Well, we realize that people want to talk about art, but it doesn't have to be complicated. We can actually create bars that are going to be so obvious in what they're trying to discuss that they actually, when you come to the bar, hopefully we don't talk to you about the bar house. Today I'm going to talk to you about the bar house, but if you come to anyone has been to any of our venues? You've been to Shapes? Was it adequate? Sexy. It was sexy. The flirting is too hard for everybody else in the tension you and I are creating. Okay, what is the Bauhaus? It's a French art school. Obviously, in Germany, you're privileged because you have you know about the Bauhaus, right? It's the coolest moment in art history. In between the two wars in Germany, and 1919, the Bauhaus opens, and the idea is like the unification of the arts. We take everything and we're going to try and redefine for a better tomorrow the idea of what is pretty. And we're going to do this with all of the tools that we have. So it means that the goal is to create the perfect city, to create the perfect tomorrow. So if you look at the Bauhaus, this is the curriculum from the time. The idea is, it's opened by an architect called Walter Gropius. And the idea is, okay, we want to build the perfect city. If I have to build the perfect city, I need to build the perfect building, right? If I need to build the perfect building, I need to, build the perfect wall. And, to do a perfect wall, I need to understand materials. And this really simple idea would start with, colors and shapes, like you would as a kid. So you have grown up learning about what's a triangle, what is yellow, and then eventually, you will specify yourself in, or you will specialize yourself, learn about textiles, wood, whatever it is, but you have to choose what you're doing in order to build this perfect city. Well, for us, it's a fun idea that, again, we just want to be coherent. Sorry, the name of the bar. It's a long story. Okay, I won't bore you about this. Again, the way that we could perhaps express this, it has to do with every single detail of the experience. The design. We're lucky because we got an old kebab shop that is open until 5 in the morning. I think that 2026 we will be open 24 hours 7. So it's a fun, cool idea that what is the function of a bar is, to serve drinks. So it's very functional. The idea was, okay, we look the way we do, and there's a reason why we look the way we do. There's a reason why we make the drinks we make. It doesn't mean they're the best drink. It just means that they are coherent, right? So we wear these particular uniforms because the guy on the left-hand side is a teacher of the bars, a guy called Laszlo Morginaj, amazing Hungarian, painter, artist, whatever. He used to walk around with this ID. Then we have to walk around with this ID. We get to for the first time design a bar, and if you I'll talk about the artisan. If you guys have been to the artisan, it's kind of like a weird thing when you work in a place that is not yours, where the design is very, maybe the design doesn't agree with what you want to do. The artisan is like a chinoiserie. There's a bit of purple. There's chess table. Nobody really understands let's say I don't know. The Savoy is Art Deco, right? But if I want to do an Art Nouveau bar in the Savoy, it doesn't work. So you always have to match. Well, for the first time, we could actually design the entire place. So on the left-hand side, sorry, this is the process of the bars that we wanted to express. But you have a classroom, you have a workshop, and you have a showroom. In the classroom, you're going to come up with ideas. In the workshop, you're going to turn your ideas into prototypes, I guess. And to an extent, in the showroom, you're going to just serve whatever you made in terms of prototype. So there's this particular journey. It's a bar full of freezers. There's only 20 bottles at Shapes. All of the bottles are blind tasted. So, I don't know, what's your favorite gin? Coco. The cool idea was, okay, we only have one vodka. We have one rum. We have one vermouth. But we wanted to be coherent and we wanted to be functional. So what is my favorite vodka? Well, I don't really know. What is my guest's favorite vodka? Well, I don't really know. So all of our spirits are chosen through blind tasting. So we'll call all of you guys, we're trying 10 different vodkas, and you tell me which one you prefer. We're trying 55 different agaves. Arjuna did the agave tasting a couple of months ago. She was the drunkest person in London. You just taste whichever one you think wins. Now it's annoying because it means that I don't get to have a lot of money from brands for this particular reason. But it does mean that what I'm serving is in fact functional. Excuse me. It's also very good for like stock take because you only have 20 bottles. We have 6 house drinks, 6 classics. We have 1 beer, 1 red wine, 1 white wine, 1 champagne, and that's it. That's it. Pretty strong. It does mean that we Shapes last month for the first time did 1,000 drink a night. It's a small bar, but the standards at Shapes are they're quite severe in terms of if you work in hotels, you know you have to learn your Forbes standards. It means that if you're ordering a mixed drink, you have 4 minutes to get your drink. At Shapes, the standard are 45 seconds to 1 minute. So if all of us come in, if you order drinks, you should be serving 45 seconds. Now, this does allow us to not only be efficient, not only be, I guess, good business-wise, revenue friendly, I guess, but it also means that we are to kind of like think of the entire aesthetics of the bar and the entire aesthetics of the drink, mostly in terms of prep. So we have now a little factory, which we're opening to people. But again, this is a cool thing that we can make 1,000 drink with 4 or 5 employees easily, and everybody should be happy because the drinks are already made. It's not like, okay, I mismeasured my 50 mils and my 7.5 to go in my old fashioned was off. It's like it's never off. Shapes cannot be off. It doesn't mean it's the best bar. It just means that it's I guess adequate in that sense. Freezers. For 80 people in there's 12 double freezers, which means that temperature is obviously at the essence, and it also means that it is forever stable, very consistent. Ice. Stuff. Again, in order to be coherent, because we're talking about the bars as an art school, we've now launched like an exchange student program, so you can come and study for 3 months with us. This is the bar. The apartment upstairs is my apartment, so if you come to Shapes and have a broom, you can hit, and I usually come down. Upstairs, we have a dorm where we have our interns that come in. The interns are paid, which is quite nice, and it's nice. You can come and study for 3 months. You have this particular course that we're designing at the moment in order to understand what is the bar house, what is drink, and I think the idea is, again, how do you build a perfectly strong but at least a good drink? That's the warehouse. That's my business partner, Paul. He's very handsome. We don't talk about him. We're all jealous. That's okay. And yeah, cool. This is fun. Did someone add this slice? Okay, so let's explore idea of pineapple. What do I mean? Okay, Anna, can you please describe a pineapple to me? Sweet, okay. What? Exotic, okay. Anything else? So it's sweet and exotic. Okay, not unlike me, perfect. Can you describe a mango to me? Okay. Passion fruit, it's a bit more like sour maybe? More sour, okay. But a pineapple can be sour as well, right? Okay, okay. What about like a raspberry? Acidic, I guess, a little bit like tart, but a bit sweeter. Is there a bit sweeter? Well, everything is sweet and sour, right? The fun idea, and this comes from the bar, and it's nice because we will have all of these like little side quests that allows us to kind of do a bit of research. Everything is a bit sweet. Everything is a bit sour. Everything is a bit salty. Everything is a little bit, I don't know, umami to an extent. I think it's a matter of proportion. We are trying to redefine this idea of how we talk about, I think how we talk about the things we taste. And it's a very unfair thing, the way that we've been educated, where we think that whatever we try has to be like, okay, it's sweet and sour. I think it's an old, like, what's the difference between a lime and a lemon? But you're not allowed to say, like, sour. What's the factual difference? Different fruit, but I mean, like, if you were to taste it, okay, you blind taste a lime and a lemon. Oh, maybe the lime is more sour. Yeah, but also, pardon? Certainly. But I think that there's the fun thing that there is all of these things that maybe we'll call this for the sake of conversation, we're going to call taste. Sweet, sour, bitter, alcohol, whatever it is. And then there's all of the, like, I don't know, you call them like organoleptic compounds, right? Volatile organic compounds. All of these little molecules that actually makes the aroma of stuff. So if you try a non-alcoholic spirit, right, it is not sweet, but whatever you taste is going to have all of these different aromas, right? It doesn't mean that it has the structure of sweetness or the structure of bitterness or the structure of sour. Nevertheless, you can actually play with these very simple ideas. This is Zeta, age 6, working for free, as she should. Zeta is good because she's in a school. Apparently she has to. And the school allows me to do a lot of classes for kids. And it's a very interesting thing to talk to kids because they're a bit better than we are when it comes to the way that we'll define stuff. So if you tell a 5-year-old, okay, describe a pineapple, for sure they're going to say sweet, for sure they're going to say sour, but then they're going to be like whatever, vanilla, cheese, it doesn't really matter. Philadelphia cheese, one of the friends said. And I think it's not completely inaccurate to make this separation between, okay, what we taste, bitter, sweet, sour, and perhaps all this like retro-olfactive, whatever it is, aroma stuff. And I think that whenever we make drinks in the bars, we very much have this structure where there is taste, as in like make a classic daiquiri, it's going to be balanced, but a daiquiri is sweet, sour, strong, water, whatever. Also, it is vanilla, it is lilac, it is all of these little different aromas, and it's a very fun thing to work on this idea, especially in the context of Bauhaus. Anyway, that was a little segue. Bar Nouveau. God. Hi. Bar Nouveau. I think if we go back to this idea that, like, again, no bar is perfect, but it's more like, stick to an idea. This is a different art movement. You guys are familiar with Art Nouveau, I'm sure. What is Art Nouveau? Art Nouveau is this kind of stuff, right? Art Nouveau is after the Industrial Revolution. Everybody's upset because you have cars, you have buildings, and suddenly like people feel like nature is being taken away from them. So we'll try and reintroduce nature with the tools of the Industrial Revolution and make these kind of things, right? So people are less sad. Well, for us, it was an interesting idea that, okay, if we open a bar based on this, what would it mean? It actually means that we have to follow all these codes. There's no angle in nature. Everything has to be nature-inspired. Anyone has been to Bar Nouveau? No? Nobody. You tried? Was it closed? I think you're barred. It was only closed for you. The cool idea, Bar Nouveau is 60 meters square, so it's like 12 skinny people in there. It's a cool idea because we try to follow this nonsense. I think the idea that Art Nouveau will try desperately to reintroduce nature for us to feel adequate and for us to feel at home is a very cool notion. Now, if we look at what Art Nouveau was, and you know that in fact Art Nouveau, okay, is art a solution to problems? Probably, right? We do stuff, we want to express ourselves to kind of fix issues that we may have. If we feel depression because nature is taking away from us and our solution is to reintroduce nature, this happened during the revolution, the Industrial Revolution. Like, are we not undergoing another revolution? And perhaps this one is not industrial, but it's maybe technological. I'm 33 years old, I didn't have a computer. My daughter is on Duolingo, she can play chess, she can order Uber Eats, she does all this stuff. We are now exposed to technology. If we now are depossessed to nature through the medium of technology, there is going to be the need to reintroduce nature. And I think that for us, it was a very fun idea because this is the drink that you had, by the way. Bar Nouveau is really simple. Upstairs is there's no main ingredient, very simple stuff. The kind of the drinks that you have, it's verjus, it's cognac, it's sugar from grape, and water, the easiest drink in the world. Now, this is downstairs, and it's a fun idea that, for me, this is very much, upstairs is after the Industrial Revolution, downstairs is after the technological revolution, but in essence, it's the same concept, right? We reintroduced nature 100 years ago this way. How would we reintroduce nature today? I think it looks like this. So it's a fun thing because it means that we have the kind of drink on the left-hand side upstairs. It's the same drink downstairs. The only thing that changes is that we are growing plants downstairs. So it means that we have these like horticultural lights, which means that it's got like this weird UV thing. So the same menu, when you take it down, then it's actually going to show you whatever you see on the right. So the same menu you take down, it's kind of cool. Same drinks, they're more expensive downstairs from €1. Because, this is the business stage after all. But it's a very cool idea because upstairs, as I said, there's no main ingredients, right? It's very much, okay, we put martel, we put verjus, we put water, we put sugar, and it works. Is this how loud I am? Downstairs, the same drink actually kind of changes. Well, we'll distill grapes, we'll distill vine leaves. It's the same ingredients, but they undergo this particular, I guess, technological moment, which is fun. Cool. Okay, one more bar, and then I swear I'm done. Everything okay? Yes. Everyone okay? Oh, amazing. Abstract. What is abstract art? How fun is this bar show, by the way? Abstract art. Do we know what is abstract art, kind of? A little bit? Pardon? Yeah, fair enough. I think that it was certainly a big rupture, and I think if you look at this, like non-figurative art, okay, the dog, this is meant to be a picture of a dog. Sure. For the first time, you can do whatever you want, and it just means whatever you want it to mean. And I think there was an interesting thing. I'm not particularly qualified when it comes to talking about art, but I'm getting to the point where I feel comfortable talking about art history a little bit. There was a very interesting moment in art history where non-figurative art, for the first time, would actually make its way to museum. And it was a big thing that if you take your grandmother to an abstract museum or like a modern art museum, she'd be like, I can't do this, right? It's what we all say. I can't do that. It's like a white painting with a white square inside the white painting. It's like, well, maybe your grandmother didn't do it, but also there was this moment of, okay, we now need to express ourselves. We now need to use the codes of regular art, right? If you think about usually an art piece, it's usually in a frame. If you think about a museum, right? La Joconde, famous French painting. Everything is French today. You have a frame for it, right? If you think of all of the paintings, I was talking about Caspar David Friedrich yesterday for some reason. There's like, very tiny painting, very big frame. In art, usually you have to structure whatever you put in. Well, the abstract artists at the time actually use this medium of the frame. They will do that white square on a white square and put a massive wooden golden frame like you would have in, like, I don't know, La Renaissance and all of this famous stuff. And for them, it was a cool way to not only exist in museum, but also to justify themselves. They now belong to art because they put their art in a frame. Well, this is what we wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. The problem is that it didn't really work. So I had to find myself a frame. And the frame that we chosen was the frame of a classic bistro, which is kind of cool. Bistro is a Russian word. I don't know if you knew that. Bistro is a Russian word for fast. So you have, like, at the time, you had these Russian soldiers in Paris, and the officer will come in and be like, bistro, 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 fast, fast, fast. You drink and you go back to war. Well, this was a cool idea because we really much want to do this weird nonsense, but nobody gets it, so I have to find this frame, this particular structure. So abstract is quite simple. We don't use any products. Everything is distilled, so there's no, whatever, spirits, there's no anything. But it's like, we bring kind of back the idea of, what's a lemon, what's a raspberry, what's a pineapple, and then it's like, find the best lemon you can, extract the way you can, but obviously do this in a structure that people will get. So you'll have this kind of like, you'll have this kind of drinks where, I don't know, on the left-hand side is a picon bière. Do you guys know picon? You guys know bière? Good. You put them together, very classic French drink. The fun thing is that we'll have a distillate of passion fruit. On the right-hand side, you're going to have like a moresque, which is usually pastis and orgeat, right? But in this particular instance, we make our own distillate of. And I think it's a very cool idea because, again, the way for me to do this, like, I have to sell it this way, and it's a very fun idea. Yeah, cool. I've spoken a lot. Is everyone okay? Can I still go on? Okay, I need to open more bars. Okay, in Germany. Let's do it. So yeah, monochromes. This is a project that we're doing, but again, at Abstract, everything is mono-ingredient distillate, so it's vacuum distilled ingredients. And it's again nice and easy because we managed to do this stuff because it's through the medium of bistro. I think that we're opening an Abstract in Paris. Are we opening an Abstract in Paris? Are we opening an Abstract in Cologne? Cool. Okay. Everyone okay? I've spoken a lot. I want to say merci. This means Dankeschön. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry, I spoke.
Bravo, bravo. Rémy, merci beaucoup.
Avec plaisir.
Very inspiring, and what a kickstart to our second day here at the business stage. I would love to use the opportunity, Rémy, to give our audience the chance to ask questions. I'm sure there's plenty. So an alle, wenn ihr Fragen an Rémy Savage habt, bitte, jetzt ist die Gelegenheit. Wir haben noch ein paar Minuten für Q&A. Ich freue mich auf eure Gedanken und Fragen. Oh, jetzt aber. Jetzt aber.
I am married.
Thanks for your creative mind and for all the passion you put in your bars. I would like to know how many months or maybe years you always in planning something new in advance. Like how does those ideas came up and how much time you put in the structure in every bar you do? And does your head sometimes stop or is it not possible?
Thank you. The fun thing is that now I have the easiest job in the world. I open bar based on different art movements. Okay, so I just need to find a new art movement, and the answer is already there. We're talking. I want to open a bar based on futurism in Milan. The job is already done. I just have to study art and then just kind of do it. So it's quite easy. I think you came to that point of confidence. It's a very new job we have, no? Or I don't know. My father used to work behind a bar. The relationship that he had with his job is very different than the relationship I had with mine, even though it's the same job. And I think it's a cool thing that like it might take 15 years to feel confident enough to say I'll open a bar house bar, but I think that whenever it does open, it's like it's already done. So all of the work there is done. I'm basically retired.
Good on you. I would love to add, if that's okay. So in every bar you have like bar manager and creative minds, and those guys kind of fulfill the drinks menu. So it's not only your work. So
it's 100% not my work. I'm very lucky because I have nice business partners that do the business part. That should probably be on stage today more than I am. But it's a nice thing to like. I guess the same way that like, in a relationship like we're about to have. What are, like, you know, you said the very clear rules. You will look after the legal department, you will look after the design department, you will look after this and this. And I think that for all of our projects, like we have people that, you know, myself included, like we just do specific things. But then it doesn't mean that you do it by yourself, but it's true that I'm still a little bit selfish enough that like I have to approve drinks. And usually I make drinks, right? But my business partner make the schedule. I don't tell him how to make the schedule and he doesn't tell me how to make drinks. Right, and then obviously, now at Shapes there's almost 20 of us. So I don't know. Maria has been with us from day one. She will make some drinks, right? And I think that we work collaboratively, but obviously it's not a one-man project. Like it wouldn't work at all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Rémy.
How you doing?
I was wondering if there ever was, and if so, if you have an example of something that you were madly in love with conceptually and artistically, but didn't make any sense and didn't work financially, and you had to scrap it.
After we did the first menu at Le Red, it was quite a fun thing because the bosses were very happy, right? Like whenever they were around, and it was a cool thing that I felt I could do whatever I wanted, and my idea was okay. We remove all of the bottles and we just become like I had this very romantic idea that like the bars I enjoy the most, like they only serve one purpose. I would go to the Pernod and have a martini, right? Or I would go to Harry's New York bar and have a Bloody Mary. And I would go to these places. I was like, okay, Little Red Dog can become one of these places where we just make one cocktail. You only do one thing. You have an alcoholic version of it, a non-alcoholic version of it, and it's that one drink. Remove everything, you make one drink. And the bar will be full because we make that one drink, but we make it perfectly. The same way that, I don't know, if you go to Harry's in Venice, right? Like you're going to have a carpaccio. You're not going to mess about. It's where the carpaccio comes from, and it becomes exciting. Excuse me. For me, this was a very good idea, but everybody hated it. Yeah. Probably a good call actually. But it's nice because we'll have all of these really nonsensical ideas, and it's whenever you work with creative people, like you just end up saying, it's nice to have a bit of a guard, somebody that just say like, shut up eventually, like arrête, like put a bit of a cap on it. So yeah, there's a handful of these examples where I thought it would be great and it wasn't great, and then you just like adjust. I think that the menu I talked about this statistic metaphysics stuff, everybody hated it. I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever done. Everybody hated it, and I guess you learn and you understand that it's not only about you, but I guess about the other people. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, a bit of a two-parter, my question. So
of course.
Hi, Rémy. With all that creativity through the many years that you do it, do you sometimes have the feeling that you do these concepts more for yourself than for the guests.
Yeah.
And sort of, do you see a difference in pickup and understanding between, for example, a hotel bar and your independent bars?
So much. I think it's the biggest gift that we can. I think the nicest thing you can do for your guest is to kind of like do what you want to do, or do it. Like, it's an extraordinarily selfish project. Like the I don't know if you guys know, but whenever you open a bar, you don't make money. So it's not a financial pursuit. It's a very selfish, egotistical desire that I have to do these things. And I think to an extent it's a very nice thing that I don't know. I feel like if I was to walk into Bar Maxime, like I would love for you to just allow yourself to do whatever you want to do. So for sure it's selfish in the process. And I think that whenever for me, hotels and other bars were the same. It's just that you have to answer to other people. I think that today the people I have to answer to are like, again, my daughter, my wife, my business partners, and like the rest is all okay. So I'm lucky enough to be selfish, and I think that being selfish in this particular process is the best thing you can do for others, because otherwise you compromise, right? And if you start to compromise, what's going to work? Today I open a Latin American bar, and I make pisco sours, ceviche, and tacos. Like, this is how you get rich, right? You do something that everybody wants, but it'd be really sad if the world is just full of like taco places, because they're only going to last for 10 years, and then whatever is the next trend is going to come in. Like sushi place 20 years ago. I don't know. I think that is a nice thing to be said, that we're all a little bit different and we all have something to say. And I feel like the medium of a bar to express yourself is a good platform. Does that answer your question a bit? Or?
Yeah. I was just, because obviously doing a lot of work in hotels and then also in independent bars, you know, I remember the first day we launched in the American bar the menu, and the first drink ordered, or the first question was, do you have a lychee martini?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
sort of that feeling, you know, as you're like, yeah, I just put 8 months of time into this.
You make such a great lychee martini, to be honest. It's so you had a question over there, or did?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for sharing these insights. You talked a lot about coherence and being obvious and intentional about things, but also about relying on your team and having great business partners. How do you align them around the vision so that everything they do in your name or in the concept actually comes out aligned and coherent?
It's very hard at times. I think it's just a matter of convincing, right? So, like, I think I have a fun example where this is what I wanted to call my bar. I wanted it to be a yellow triangle, a red square, and a blue circle. My business partner said, this is not the name of a bar. People need to find us on Google, was a big thing that people would say, right? We need to set up a company business. And I think that I managed to convince them, because I looked into, I justified it so, like, it's good work on my part. I forced them to have it because it was coherent and it worked. And I think that instead of saying, okay, these are the limitations of, we cannot call the bar this way, let's call it a club bar house, let's call it a bar house, garage, whatever we discuss. It's actually, okay, I started to talk with Google in order to have emojis as a way to like quantify or qualify a business. So if you put your emojis within the Google map, after our conversation, it actually worked. So it was more like you just have to like kind of, I guess, do the work and justify the way that it's going to work. But for us, it'd be so annoying to have the Bauhaus wanted to be international, right? It was not a German art movement. It was full of 600 people that disagree, but they had this intention to kind of like take the world in terms of beauty. And I think that for us to have this in English wouldn't make any sense. To have it in German wouldn't make any sense. To have it in, I don't know if you read Cyrillic, but like, if you go to Russia, I mean, don't go to Russia. If you go to Japan, right, and you see a place and you have like these I don't know, in kanji, I don't know what it means, but everybody know what a triangle is. Everybody know what a square is. Everybody know what yellow, red, and blue are. And I think that it was a good way to work. So the justification really works in the. I don't know, it's like everything, right? If you surround yourself with the right people, they will listen to you when they should, and they will tell you to shut up when you should shut up. And I think it's very much, I don't know, I'm certainly lucky to be working with people that are supportive, but also like, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Not really, because this again was something that you did when you entered talks with Google about, well, allowing emojis as a business name. How do you rein in those 20 people working for you to be aligned on the vision? Not the thing that you do, that this is consistent, is obviously more well, easier than having 20 people do the same thing and follow the same vision?
I think it's nice that we attract people that are not. We don't really attract bartenders anymore to work with us. I think that we like. It's obviously a job where everybody studied art. And so, like we attract a lot of art people, or people that don't. It's not if you want to like shake stuff. Shapes is not the bar for you, right? It's not the bar where you're going to develop your skills as a bartender. You know, go to Satan's, brilliant bar, classic drinks, and you're going to develop your skills as bartender. But for me, it's a very interesting thing that Satan is one of my favorite bars in the world. They have a book on round building, right? The idea is to be able to deliver drinks efficiently. Well, I have a factory that produces drink efficiently, so I don't need to round build. And I think it's more to understand the kind of like, you attract people that you want to attract. What was it? Somebody told me this the other day. It's like, do you know when you meet someone and you're like, am I attracted to this person? It's likely that the person you're attracted to is also attracted to you. And it's this weird thing that people just kind of like, I guess, match to an extent. And I feel like with the people that we collaborate with, it's just kind of same worky people that want to do whatever we want to do. And it's a fun thing to be able to make delicious drinks, but you not have to talk about bartending. Because bartending is like ultra boring. I don't know if you guys know, but it's like, it's not that cool. But it's amazing to serve people. It's amazing to talk about all of these cool things. Thank you.
So, eine Frage war noch ganz hier drüben.
So at one point you talked about philosophy and art and all of those very interesting things, and there was a slide and it said, I believe, that it's not about the work, it's about the piece. I wanted to ask you, in kind of the sense of one of your countrymen, you might recognize Latour in that argument. If the work isn't the point and the piece is, what is the difference between the cocktail that a guest is drinking and every other throwaway good that you can buy off the rack? Nobody thinks about where it's coming from. Nobody thinks about what the point of it really is. And how is that not just commodifying that drink as any other basically random good?
This is like, you're way too clever for me. Sorry. I think so. What we're having a conversation about how to identify beauty, right? Is what you're saying. Like, do people know? Like, is this what you're saying to an extent, right? If you're exposed to beauty, this is a Donald Judd quote, right? His fundamental belief was, I will make an empty room and have one piece of wood, but the piece of wood has to be so good. Okay, some brands will like kind of like design themselves to IKEA. Why does everything in IKEA shop looks amazing, but you take it home and it's like, this is shit? It's because they surround themselves and there's this like overstimulation of senses, right? Everything works because there's a lot of things. The same way you go to like an antique shop, everything is great in there because it's all a mess and it's brilliant. And I think that you take one piece out and it doesn't work. Well, the entire process here, I guess, is the opposite of things have to resonate by themselves, and it doesn't really matter if somebody is able to identify or not whether it echoes. And I think it goes back to Maxim's question, is like, it's okay to be selfish because it's, again, the nicest gift you can give to people. If what you produce, you believe is to be of objective beauty, I think it actually kind of doesn't matter whether, if your bar is full, and I'm saying this because I'm very lucky, my bars are very full. So it's a very, like I have this unfair thing that is like, people seem to be liking it. But at the same time, we also have this reality that, you know, when you open until 5 in the morning, is the best business plan, is you don't actually have to be good, you just have to be open. Like, so I think that to an extent, what we produce, it actually doesn't matter whether people will realize that it's good, because I think that selfishly we're trying to do good, and objectively, people are drinking it. Does that answer your question a bit? Or?
Yeah, so the difference between what I was asking and what you just said is that we, with work you don't mean, if I understand you correctly, the amount of work we put into the product. It's not work as in not showing through the drink, that it was made.
Yes, for sure work hard. But I think I mean this more in the context of like making cocktails. We had this, I used to work with this guy that is still at the Artisan called Christian. And Christian made the most annoyingly delicious drink. It was 2 ingredients, it was rum and sake. No main ingredient, nothing. And he just put them together and was like, fuck you, that is so good. And like, he's done nothing for it. It was literally like, you know, you grab 2 things and you're like, done. And then another guy that is a very talented bartender worked for 6 months in order to make one drink, and it wasn't good enough. I think it's that very kind of unfair thing of the things that things exist in essence. Beauty is not a construct that we get to agree or disagree on. It's subjective, and something that is touching is always going to be touching. And then, you know, again, it doesn't really matter how hard you work for it. It's like just things are good or not good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Questions?
Okay.
Many thanks, Rémy Savage. Many thanks to SIP, die Hospitality-Plattform von Pernod Ricard, für diese ganz großartige Präsentation. Wir gönnen uns eine kurze Frischluftpause, Pinkelpause und einen kleinen Kaffee und sehen uns in 10 Minuten wieder hier mit Arash Ghasemi und seiner Präsentation vom Lob in Berlin. Bis gleich.